We hear all this talk about a wait list. Wait list for services, wait list for supports, wait list for everything. And yes, there is a wait list for what's called the Medicaid waiver program. That is not to be confused with Medicaid. And I know for the longest time, as my son was growing up, I was very confused. I didn't understand that there was Medicaid and there was Medicaid waiver. I kind of thought they were the same thing, but they're not. So it's really important that you guys know and understand, that it is different. And Medicaid is like health insurance, right? So if you need to go to the pediatrician, or if you need, speech therapy, those type of things, medical things, that's Medicaid, and that is based on income. And then there's the Medicaid waiver, and the waiver is an eligibility process, so meaning a diagnosis basically. So the Medicaid waiver program provides things like in-home support. It could provide in-home support for children, respite care as well. For adults with developmental disabilities, it can mean a job coach. It could mean supported living. It could mean housing. It can mean a variety of different supports so that the person can become part of their community, can be out there learning how to grocery shop and learning all the things that all of us learn how to do in our daily lives. And there was a recent write-up about Florida and the significance of people with disabilities, children with disabilities, living in nursing homes. And a lot of that comes out of families not understanding their rights, not understanding what Medicaid waiver can provide, and how to go about advocating for more support. Let me also say that Medicaid has something called crisis. So if you are a family in crisis, there are opportunities to not remain on a wait list for an extended period of time. And I know a lot of families that are literally in crisis. So there are ways to receive support so that you don't feel as though your child or your adult living with you who happens to have autism ends up in group homes, segregated housing, nursing homes. We don't want that for our people in our lives who happen to have autism. So we want everybody to understand the process. We want you guys to understand the services and the supports that you could receive through Medicaid waiver. Now that's the one that you hear, there's a 20-something thousand person wait list. And I know a lot of people that I talk to, when I ask them if they're on the waiver or if they're on the waiver wait list, they'll say, oh no, I'm not applying for that. There's a long wait list. But you guys have to get on the wait list. You have to apply, because there are many people out there who are advocating legislatively for there not to be a wait list. But when our state legislature, because this is state-based, so every state, it kind of operates a little bit differently when it comes to these waivers. So I won't get into all that because that's really confusing. But for Florida, so we have the Medicaid waiver here in Florida for people with disabilities. And it's an eligibility process. So if you have a kid with autism, or you are a person with autism, you want to make sure that, of course, you get your diagnosis. So it's 299. So you look for that number on your medical diagnosis, 299, that's autism. You're going to want to get that. And I'm going to go through the process on the APD website. So it's APD Cares. So APD stands for Agency for Persons with Disabilities. And then the state of Florida, they are the entity that kind of manages Medicaid waiver. And so yes, we have a 20-something thousand person wait list, but that does not mean that you should not apply. We have nearly 58,000 children in Florida schools, just in the public schools. So I'm just talking Department of Education. I'm not talking about private schools. I'm not talking about homeschooled kids. Just within our school system, we have 57 and change, so almost 58,000 students with autism as their eligibility. And adults with autism, we have around 329,000. So why is our wait list then only at like 23,000? Because a lot of families are not applying. So if we actually get, and those numbers are even low because we know that we don't have truly accurate data. Okay, so even knowing that, so let's just talking about having roughly 400,000 people in the state of Florida who have autism. We shouldn't have a wait list that's 23,000. So we want you guys to have the information that you need so that you can apply, so that those out there who are actively engaged in the legislative process and really encouraging our state legislators to look at the surplus that Florida currently has and think carefully about people with disabilities and their needs. We want them to be able to have the real numbers, and they're not going to have the real numbers if we don't at least apply. I know you're thinking, oh, it's still going to be a wait. Yes, but if we can say to them, look at the wait list of 100,000 people, 200,000 people, that's going to give us a whole lot more to go on as we advocate than by saying, 23,000. Okay? All right, so follow me. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to come to apd.myflorida.com/customers/application. This is where you're going to find the application to apply for the Medicaid waiver program here in Florida. Okay, on this page, you're going to see what you're doing, right? Applying for services, and here are the different disabilities. Again, this is an eligibility-based program. So yes, it does say severe forms of autism, but that's really left a great deal up to interpretation. Intellectual disabilities, many people with autism do fall within this 70 or lower IQ score. But you also see here individuals between the ages of 3 and 5 at high risk for developmental disability. So those of you who have kids within this range, you definitely want to go ahead and fill out an application. So it kind of goes through some of the specifics here, so you can read it all. Here we go. Here's with the crisis, which I had mentioned before. So if you feel like you're in crisis, particularly the ones danger. I have some families that I know who have young children and older children, adult children, who have behavioral concerns. And it's very difficult, and that would be a crisis situation. And then here, of course, we have children under 3, and it talks about the Florida Early Steps program. So if you have a child under 3, you definitely want to get hooked up with Early Steps if you're not already. Give some information here about Florida Kid Care, and you can get to them there. So you're going to keep scrolling, and then you can see it comes in different languages, so that's always good. Keep going, and then here is the application, okay? And again, it's in 3 different languages. So we're going to click on the PDF. All right, so here is the application. Much of it is just basic information. So, your name, social security number, date of birth, all this good stuff. So you're just going to fill out all this, making sure that here's your autism box. You're going to check that. You're also going to want to include a letter or some type of letter of diagnosis from your physician. And if your child has an IEP, you can include that as well, if it says autism spectrum disorder on it. Okay, so we'll go down and and again, it's just basic questions. Services requested. So community-based services waiver, that's what we're talking about here. If you were looking at placing your loved one in what's called an intermediate care facility, which would be some type of outside of the home sort of facility, this would mostly be found in adults with significant disabilities. So for the most part, you guys are going to be checking yes here on number 4. Okay. Residency is going to be important, making sure that you are a resident of Florida, because again, these programs are state-based. So you can't live in Georgia and get the Florida waiver program, as well as if you were to move. And so for some of you, you might be living outside of Florida and you're thinking of moving to Florida.
You're going to find the same issues no matter where you live. When you change states, you have to start this process all over again. So that's not just a Florida thing, that's everywhere. So residency is really important. Okay, so here we go, eligibility assessments. Again, you're going to have to be able to show that there is a disability that meets the criteria. Okay, you're going to fill that out, put your contact information. So this is where you're going to sign and date. You're going to go back here. If you click here for more information on eligibility and applying for services, it'll take you to this page. And this will give you more details about different disabilities. And if you scroll down, it will give you a list of possible services. You can see the adult dental, consumables, coaching, supported living coaching, I mean, all kinds of services. So this kind of tells you what will be covered once you become eligible. You don't want to miss out on that because a lot of people do not have any idea what they're going to be getting under APD or why it's important. So after you have that filled out, you're going to come back over here and you're going to look for which region you live in. So where do you live? So I happen to live here in Broward. So I'm going to come over here to the Southeast region. I'm going to click on that. And this is where my application would go. Okay, and Rita Castor, she's the manager here in my region. So you would submit it to your local office based upon this map and keep a copy. Keep a copy of it. You're going to put it in regular mail and send it in. And if it were me, I would follow up with this office in about 2 weeks. And I would ask if they received it. And if they did not, I would be sending it again. Or maybe even popping by and dropping it off.
So I want to thank you guys for just watching this video. I hope it was good information. You could check out our website, autismfl.org. For some other information. We have all kinds of things that you're going to find there, but go on to this website and make sure that you submit an application. Yes, you're going to have to print it and fill it out and put it in snail mail, but it is going to be worth your effort, at least in the long run. Okay? All right, thanks everybody. We'll see you again next time.